Yo, what's up, guys? This is Mr. T coming at you live from NYC. Welcome back to Convos, our podcast over here at TimTalks. And hey, guys, welcome back to another episode. Um, Again, much appreciated for everything that you guys are doing. Again, I'm always gonna do this every single time. So if you're kind of sick of it, just let me know, cause I honestly can't help but wanting to feel or to give you guys that sense of appreciation for everything that you guys are doing to help build the channel, build the podcast, and honestly, it is an honor just to get down to the situations, get down to what you guys are feeling. So again, much obliged, and I'm gonna be so dang committed to whoever is out there who needs help. That's the whole goal, right? It's the whole goal of the podcast. All right, so this episode is centered on stress. All right, now I know that I sound a little bit lighthearted for this episode, but truth be told, there were times when I was stressed out. Like, you can ask my parents themselves. They can say that I am a stressful person, not the one causing the stress, just more of like the one who's always like stressed out. And to be fair, sometimes I put myself in that situation. I'm not gonna blame them if they ever say that, because honestly, it's true. Um, I think it's just because I had a lot of responsibilities in my life, and with all that said, thinking about everything that I went through, all the trials, all the tribulations, every single challenge that I've been through, made me more of like a stronger person, but not so much to the point where I'm like over the top, prideful, kind of not like a bitch, right? But anyway, so I did have my fair share of stress in life, my own responsibilities as making the keep, putting bread on the table, putting food on the table, and all those things. And it's a lot. For anyone out there who is working, which is pretty much all of us, or if you are looking into working, you'll see what I mean. But enough about that. But again, I can get stressed, but this is one of the best ways where it's like a biggest stress reliever is that we get to do this together, right? So over here to the comments. So I know I'm saying this lightly, and I know that the mic may not be picking up the emotion, but I'm gonna try my best to try and get quote unquote serious with it. So it says here this. So I'm not feeling so well, Mr. T. I got the SAT coming up in a couple of days, and I honestly don't think I'm ready. What if I don't pass? What if I forget something? What if I forget my ID or to turn off my phone or something else? I'm freaking out, Mr. T. I just know the stress is getting to me, and I don't know how to handle it. I know it sounds simple, but I hope you don't judge. I just need to know what to do, right? So that's pretty much the gist of what this person had left. But again, I empathize. In fact, I empathize with a lot of the situations you guys sent me. Except the one where I talked about pregnancy at one point. That I can't. That I can't ever understand. In terms of going through that. Kudos to women who go through that. Again, you guys are a blessing. Literally, I wouldn't be here in this world if not for that. Back to the comments. So, stress, right? Again, stress is something that every person will always at some point in life go through. If you haven't gone through that in your life, chances are someone else had gone through it for you. If you really think about that, if you haven't been stressed at all, who's the one handling it for you, right? Your parents, or if, for example, you're rich, someone else, someone you've hired or whatever, right? They handle the stressful part for you. And again, I won't diss you or whatever if you haven't been stressed, but I'm just saying that if you haven't been stressed, chances are there's a lot more in life that you have to look at before you can really understand it, right? So again, with stress is a real thing, and often we look at this in a negative light, right? Not saying that it ain't negative, but rather that when you look at stress, there are many ways in which you look at it and the ways that you feel it when you know that it's good or when it's bad, right? Now, I know that in school you learned about there's two types of stress, right? Distress, which is the negative one, and eustress, kind of like euphoria. Eustress is where you're stressed out, but it's for a good thing, right? Not so much like, oh, there's a tragedy or some other situation, or even just something BS that's negative for that matter, right? Distress is gonna be really different from eustress, because eustress, it feels, when you feel it, it's kind of like when I watched that last episode of the Owl House. Like, I felt that eustress. If you guys have seen that show, you probably know why the ending was amazing. I don't want to say ending. I feel that there's always hope for more things from them, right? But again, eustress is just that wonderful feeling, because you know that things are going not your way, but rather the way that you intended to, you worked for all that time, right? So again, those are the two types of stress. But judging from what this person had left, right? So let me read through this again. So, I'm not feeling so well, Mr. T. So, by and large, this person is going through distress, right? And then it says here, I got the SAT coming up in a couple of days, and I honestly don't think I'm ready. Well, first off, if you guys don't know the SAT, it means the Scholastic Aptitude Test. And that test is, I don't want to say it determines what college you go to, but many colleges and universities nowadays, they have some sort of assessment to determine you got the skills for college, and are you going to be able to handle everything in college, right? So that's the whole gist of what the SAT is for. It's not just to assess your skill, but rather assess your performance and see how you go in college. I don't want to say it determines your future, but the way that it sounds as though it does that, right? Now, as a person, here's the thing. At my college, I went to NMC, Northern Marianas College in Saipan. And when I went over there, they didn't have an SAT requirement, and they only had their own placement test, which of course we still had to do. And then that determines what prerequisites and what classes we need prior to actually getting into the major. If you guys aren't in college, again, I completely understand. But work with me here in that basically I needed to do a test where it would determine what courses I would take, and then the pathway in which I can get my degree. That's it in a nutshell, right? And then they didn't have the SAT, but they did have that placement test, and that actually goes for almost every college and university out there in the world. They always do that just to ensure that they have a good reading. However, I do get why the SAT can be very stressful. It's because they put so much emphasis, and I don't know why they do that, because like the SAT or any other assessment, it's just meant to see where you are, not, oh, you can't do it, right? But it's sometimes complete and utter BS how they put so much emphasis and highlight on this one single test, right? And so again, whoever had left this, right, with the SAT, truly I feel for you when it can be very stressful, right? I'm gonna try and analyze your comment as much as possible before I get down to the advice that I can give you, right? And then it says, I don't think I'm ready. So there's a possibility to whoever left this comment, that when they were studying for the SAT, very likelihood is that it's just a book, but determining how to go about the book, right? Even the book is going to be a challenge to read sometimes, right? Again, when you read books on the SAT, it seems as though you got this, right? But there can be much simpler ways that the book, coming from a teacher, right? I'm a teacher, and coming from that perspective, sometimes the book may not be the best way, right? The book is just typed, and it can be edited over and over and over again, right? So different perspectives in one book, right? So how is that going to correlate to when a person actually does the test, right? Basically, you need someone to be able to explain it to you, right, with the SAT. But moving on from that, I'll come back to that in a bit. So this person said here, right, what if I don't pass, right? What if I forget something? Now, you see how the person pointed out here, what if I don't pass? That's another stressful thing. And I think that was the main person's stressor at that point. What if I don't pass? I get it. I really do, where people can be very scared about the results of their tests because they want to have a better future, and they they believe wholeheartedly that this test is like the gateway to everything, right? That is such a big stress, and that's a lot of shiz to go through. And from someone who's been through a lot in college, again, I understand, especially the worry, what if I don't pass? And there's always going to be that thought at the back of your head, as well as other things like, what if I forget something? And it is true that to take the test, you do need some sort of ID, and you do need some sort of tools to be able to conquer it, and all those things, right? And what if I forget my ID? Forget to turn off your phone, because if you don't turn it off, right, they'll penalize you because it can compromise someone else's results. And all those things, right? But what really breaks my heart here is, I'm freaking out, Mr. T. And then this person, he or she put, I just know the stress is getting to me, and I don't know how to handle it. And it brings tears in my eyes to be to have seen this and read this, because it's a reflection as well of what I've seen in other people. I've seen this even before reading the comment, how people are getting burned out over one test, right? Not even counting the 2 or 4 or 6 years that they're going to be in college. I say 6 years if you're going for like your master's degree, right? 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, 8 years if you're going for your doctorate. But just to be stressed out for this one day because of this one test. And it really hurts me to see this, right? Because honestly, life can get complicated as is, but then this test can break people. And it's so disheartening to see that. So if any of you guys are going through this, whether it be the SAT, the ACT, the Regents exam at some points or whatever, right? Just know that I feel for you, and that I do look at this, and I think that enough is enough with this. And I'm not sounding like I'm not giving advice, but like I said, I want you to air it out, to know that this is something to be what do you call it, this is something that it is okay to feel that sense of fear, right? Again, what is always going to be an emphasis for you is that you gotta let out the emotion in some way, right? Go ahead, like, shout into the phone as you're listening to the podcast. Shout out somewhere, right? To know that this is stressing you out, right? All this energy, all that negative vibes, and to just let it out in a way that, of course, you're not hurting yourself and you're not hurting others, right? You gotta let that stress out, right? And that, I feel, is very dang important, very critical, very crucial. And to just let out the stress, even if you're talking to yourself, right? To know that this is real, right? People can go through stressful things, and to know that whatever you're going through is not complete and utter BS like other people say it is, right? Because no one knows always what situation you go through. But I do. I'm serious. I do understand. Seeing everything and reflecting on everything I've been through in college, it does happen, right? So again, and don't be afraid, whoever left the comment, don't be afraid of being judged. Again, you're here because you wanted help, right? And you're here just because of those difficult challenges you go through in life, right? And it happens to everyone, right? And even now, in my situation, right, there are those difficulties that I always have to face, especially after I'm done with the recording, right? Come back to reality. But I'm not saying reality is harsh, it's just that there's some things we gotta catch up on, right? But anyway, I hope to let out all that first before I give you my best advice. So go ahead and listen to the soundtrack that I got over here, just to chill out for a bit. Again, it's time to relax, time to chill for just a little bit. I was hoping to get out anything that you're feeling at that moment, and then I can give you the best bits of advice I could give to any other person, whether it be through this episode or whether it be you in front of me face to face in the studio. All right? So go ahead and take a listen in. Calm down, chill out, and I'm gonna come back to you real quick. All right? All right, guys. So, again, I hope the soundtrack was short enough that you didn't sleep or whatever. But hey, but I don't know. Sleep might also help with stress. It really does. Some people get so stressed that they don't even sleep, and it's contradicting because sleep is supposed to help with stress, right? But if someone can't even do that or whatever, right? But back to this comment. Okay, serious mode. Reading through this again, right? So first off, whoever left the comment, I'm gonna address you directly before I go on to everyone else. But if other people can relate, again, tune into this advice, right? So, you got the SAT coming up, right? Well, first off, you know, just say, for example, if it's on that date, that's it, right? The date is already there. The date is there, and it's just gonna be there, right? Set an alarm and put it on your schedule, put it somewhere where you can be able to see it, right? And don't always remind yourself that this date is coming, right? Because honestly, if you spend more time worrying on the date that the test comes, where's the time for studying, right? Where's the time that we're gonna devote to studying? So we gotta be careful and make sure that when it's coming up, it's just there on a calendar, but not always at the back of your mind, right? Because there's only so much room for your mind and all these things, right? And remember, the mind only works one at a time, right? And how can it work properly when you don't do it one at a time, right? When you have that thought of the test at the back of your head. And I'm gonna give you something personal, right? When I was first doing the podcast, I was like so obsessed with it at one point that I almost forgot why I did it in the first place, right? You guys always remind me. That's why I always say I don't just right? Because again, it always helps. Every little bit helps. And the thing is, here with the SAT, I know there's always this stigma about failure, that if you fail once, you fail forever. That's not true. And that's something that I learned. I never retook my placement test for the college, but other people I know have, because they're given that chance, right? And again, don't worry so much about failure, right? Because failure is just the stigma for progression, right? So failure is literally just the bad way of saying, oh, I'm progressing. And I get that. I get that when parents try to lay it down, like, why did you fail? Or your teachers say, oh, I knew you weren't going to pass, right? I've heard that. I've heard that BS. And that is really annoying to me. And like I said, that's why I wanted to do teaching, because I see that still happening. And, I had enough with that, right? So, again, when it comes down to the SAT, again, failure is the stigma that's what do you call that? That's substituted for progression. Okay, you are progressing just by doing the test, right? And whatever happens, at least you know where you're going, right? It will tell you from the results what it is that was going on with the test. Where is it that you need to develop, right? That's why I'm very particular with words. Some things may slip off my tongue a little bit, right? But again, people say failure, I say progression. People say you didn't do so well, I say you still need to develop, right? There are those words we always have to be very careful of, right? And that also adds to the stress when people use the wrong words. So again, if you don't pass, you progress either way. If you think you forgot something, plan ahead for what's there, right? If you want to make sure that you didn't forget anything, have your stuff prepared. Have your calculators packed. Have your scratch paper packed. Have your IDs in check. That way you can make sure nothing goes out of place, nothing goes missing, and there is nothing that can stop you from achieving it, right? So again, be very mindful of those things, right? If you want to avoid stress, be prepared, right? Be prepared and be ready to accept whatever happens, right? That is by far the most important thing as well, is to accept whatever comes your way, right? Planning and preparation always very important, right? But this part here is where I almost teared up. I'm freaking out. I just don't know the stress. I just know the stress is getting to me, and I don't know how to handle it. And I know it sounds simple. What disheartens me is when people try to downplay when those things happen, right? And it's partly because they feel that no one is gonna understand them, right? Because people feel so stressed, they feel that no one around them is gonna understand them. But here's the thing, whoever left the comment, you brought this up to me. That means you still have hope that someone out there is gonna be able to understand you, advise you, give you the inspiration that you need to keep going. And that, I guess, is my job. You gave that to me. And I'm here to tell you that, I understand everything that you go through, and that this is real, right? This is real. But, I've learned very well that life's so short. Life is very short to be preoccupied with all those things, right? If it happens, it happens, right? And I think of that every time when it comes down to not even just stress, but anything in general. If I think of stress, what happens, right? And even then, I'm still always having to reapply that. Always still having to remind myself that, yeah, everything is going to be fine. Even I myself go through those difficult situations, but by and large, like I said, I'm still young, and as the years roll by, I'll still learn more. But I will always remind myself what makes me different and what I think is most important in the world, right? So again, with stress is something that comes about in life, but doesn't have to determine our lives, right? Again, whatever happens with the SAT, know that you gave your best. And if so, try again, right? I know it sounds simple, and it is actually. And I think of that in many ways with other things, right? When I see someone who's anxious, right, I tell them don't be afraid. When I see someone who feels depressed, tell them they're confused, right? That they can get confused. And that ultimately, if you still feel something, that you can still find your way back, right? If there's a death or something, I always tell myself at least there's a better place, right? I tell myself that I always give hope to myself that there's always going to be something more important that's going to happen, right? There's always something better to look forward to. And that's very important. So, again, with everything that you go through in life, and this is going to apply to everyone else, not just, to the person who left the comment. Anything that's stressful in your life, right? Remind yourself that we only have one. You only have one life. And whatever generation, whether you're born or whether you're in the middle, or whether life is about to pass on and then you get to do something, right? So really look at that and say to yourself, am I gonna let the stress is the stress gonna define me? Is the stress gonna kill me? Right? Is that how we want to leave the world? Is that what we want to do with the world? Be stressed out about something? Because honestly, there are times in my life where I almost fell for that trap, right? And I'm stressed out about certain things. And mind you, I'm an introverted person, right? I can be very introverted. And if you don't believe me, ask any of the guests that I featured on the channel, and they might tell you the same thing about how I was before. Even then, as I'm doing this podcast, I'm still introverted. And that probably ain't gonna change, right? And I do get some insecurities. I do have some doubts and fears or whatever, but that makes me human. That makes me human. Same thing what I went through in college, right? When I did the placement tests, I was so stressed out. I freaked the hell out, right? And when I was going through my courses, every time there's a final exam, I'm always freaking out about how I'm doing. And then at the very end, when I got to my practicum in college, I was really, really scared because that was it, right? So all of that I went through, it really amounted to all that stress. And now I'm reflecting on that, I'm like, what the heck was I going through, right? What the heck happened with me that was so stressful, right? And it really, really changed me. And there were things online, and that's what I love about the new gen, is that there is always one who will be able to help you. There is always one that's going to be able to help you. So let me tell you this right now. To this person who left the comment, you're going to be fine. Let me know how you went with the SAT. If you felt that you failed, let me know. And so I want to be able to talk to you directly and say that you're going to be okay, right? Those kind of things. I want you to let it out and to know that you're going to be okay no matter what happens. And to anyone out there in the world, hey, life is as it is. Life is what it is. But we will always have that opportunity to change what we're going to do, right? I have my faith and I have my hope for all of you out there that you're going to be okay, all right? And just know, with stress will always be conquered if you accept yourself, and then you can always look to others, right? Like how this person will have the comment, ask for my help. I hope I was able to help you. And hey, always have faith in yourself. No one is going to tell you otherwise. And that the stress that you go through now, again, stress should always be temporary. Yes, there may be things, for example, like a loss in a family or whatever, right? That comes about. But by and large, anything is better than pain and suffering, right? And all those difficulties. So again, stress is selective. Stress is also temporary. We select how we're stressed, but also we know that it's always going to end. It's always going to end in some way. And then when you reflect on your life, you're going to think that, I went through that, and what was I thinking? Even now, I'm thinking to myself, what was I thinking? And I realized I was stressed because I wasn't. Keep a cool head, keep a calm mind, keep it going, and know that you got this. To everyone out there, to whoever left the comment, and to my wonderful viewers, subscribers, and just passersby, you got this out there in the world. And I cannot wait to see what comes next, all right? So hey, that's gonna be it for this episode of Convos. Again, I hope you got what you need. Whoever left the comment, I really hope that you're gonna have not so much a stress-free life, but rather an ability to cope with stress, right? Stress, when it comes back, we know what to do, right? And if you feel that you're going through that difficulty once again, let me know and I'm gonna be there to help you out, right? I apologize if there were some rackets that you were hearing. Again, I'm recording in the studio, but family first, right? So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you got something to say, please leave them down in the comments. If you got something you want to private message me about, please DM me, PM me on my Soch, and then from there, we'll see where we go from there. And I'm hoping again that I'm doing these comments in a timely manner. Again, not so much stress with the podcast, just making sure that everything is top-notch quality and top-notch in terms of being able to help you guys, all right? So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, please like, share, sub, and much love. This is Mr. T signing off. Much love, everyone. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you in the next episode, all right? Peace.